A not so happy Thursday today because I am admittedly big mad because I just found out that Beyoncé allegedly got paid $10 million for that pathetic little endorsement of Kamala Harris. What was it, 3 minutes? $10 million for 3 minutes of her life. And she's not the only one who allegedly got paid in a major way. I think when I grow up, I've decided that it would probably be a better idea for me to be a fraud and just to come out and support the Democratic Party and say whatever, because apparently that's where all the money is. Plus, later on in the show, we have to discuss Disney because they really need a new princess. I don't know if you guys have been following the never-ending scandal of Rachel Zegler, their Snow White remake princess, but this young woman is clearly mentally deranged, and she's now posted on her social media calling for Trump supporters to be harmed. Like, this is just not even normal. They've already had to delay this film because this woman can't close her mouth, and now she's, calling for violence. And also, we're going to cover Matt Gaetz because the media is in the midst of a meltdown over him being nominated as the U.S. attorney, and I think I have an idea why that might be. All that coming up on Candace. So I'm okay. I want all the smoke today. I understand what happens when you go after Beyonce, Queen Bey, all of that. Okay, shush. I'm so over it. I'm really just getting to a place right now where I think I'm just getting angry with Black women. I'm getting angry with Black women in particular. So I just want to first take a look at this exit poll from the election. Just take a look at this exit poll. And if you look down at Black women, our voting margins are just incredible. We are the only group in America that is voting 92% Democratic. 92% Democratic is absolutely amazing. So this means one of two things. It means either Black women are geniuses. We are the most ingenious people in all of America. We've figured things out. We understand the political system, and everybody else is being defrauded somehow by splitting up their votes. Or it means that we are very much a monolith and nobody is taking us seriously anymore. Okay. So why am I upset? Because my entire political life, since I got into politics in 2015, I have had to deal with accusations coming from Black media, coming from Black stars, coming from Black hip hop artists, that I'm a fraud, that I'm a sellout. She sold out. I don't know how I sold out by committing myself to voting for Donald Trump. That's just kind of what they say. You're a coon. You're an Uncle Tom. They're allowed to use racist terms explicitly for some reason if you're a Black conservative. And essentially, and this really is one of the dumbest plot lines ever, the reason, their proof that I have somehow sold out is because, well, obviously she must be doing this for money. Except I have never, and I will state this one more time for the record, actually probably more in the future, I have never, ever, ever been paid a single dollar from the Trump campaign. Never. Not once, throughout anything. You can't dig it up in an FEC filing, nothing. I actually said what I believed. I know that's quite shocking, but I actually said what I believed. So you have to imagine my frustration when it has been revealed recently, that the Democratic Party is paying eye-watering amounts to the very people in the Black community that are somehow perceived as authentic. Like the people that, pass the Black test, the Black litmus test. Oh, she's a real one. Somehow she's a real one because what? She's a part of the 92% monolith, which is just ridiculous. So Kamala's 107-day campaign. I feel like I always have to remind people that she only campaigned for 107 days. It was unlike any other campaign for a lot of reasons. One of them being just the sheer amount of celebrity endorsements that were jammed into such a short window of time regarding a candidate that none of them could have known intimately. None of them could have really known her policies intimately or what she believed in enough to get on stage and to endorse her with so much passion. So much passion as in J-Lo cried. She literally was brought to tears by a woman that nobody liked the entire time she was VP. Remember, people were just cycling out of her office all the time. There were all of those articles talking about how nobody liked to work for her because she didn't like to work, but then liked to blame people for the work that was not being done, which really has just been a model after Kamala's life. We've learned this from Judge Joe Brown, everyone who's worked with her. She was essentially just like handed her entire life because she slept with the right people. So her campaign really was just more of that. It was an utter clown show. I don't know what she did other than word salad and say things and keep calling Trump people confused and racist. That was kind of the messaging that was coming out, and dangerous, and if this guy gets into office, all of the same stuff. And then also, of course, leaning into this idea that abortion was this existential crisis for women. Okay, so now it's being reported that some of these celebs that came out, far from speaking out because they were worried about the future for their children, as they all say on stage, I'm just so worried about the future for my children, actually spoke out for money. And one such person is Megan Thee Stallion, okay? One half of the WAP duo with Cardi B. She came out, she was one of the first people to perform for Kamala Harris, and she was reportedly paid $5 million for this.
I need everybody in the crowd to make some noise for Miss Harris. Make some noise for Miss Harris. Our future president.
There you go. She got paid to shake her booty for Miss Harris, for Mrs. Harris. Everybody get up. I don't know how people are not insulted by that, but apparently it worked because, as you can see, Black women at least came out in droves to support the Democratic nominee. Then there's Beyoncé, the case of Beyoncé, the person that you're not allowed to touch or say anything bad to, or the beehive's going to come for you because she's a queen, even though, I'm going to be honest, in my honest assessment and perspective, she hasn't dropped a good album since 4. I don't care, come for me. I like I said, I want all the smoke, fight me. She's got a couple of bops on each album, but for all of this, hail the queen, it's just a little too much. It's just a little too much. Well, reportedly, she was paid $10 million for that, 3.5-minute speech that she gave. And just to work out the math for you, that would mean that she was being paid $55,000 per a second. Like, could you imagine just being paid that much per a second for your presence? Really, that makes you bigger than the queen. You're the queen and the king to get paid that amount if it turned out to be true. And I'm just going to jog your memory of the really inauthentic speech that she gave.
It's time for America to sing a new song. Our voices sing a chorus of unity. They sing a song of dignity and opportunity. Are y'all ready to add your voice to the new American song? Because I am. So let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Please give a big, loud Texas welcome to the next President of the United States, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Apparently, she's a hustler, homie. It's truly, because if you just had to do that and get paid that amount, it means that they know that your voice is worth that, and you know that your voice is worth that, and you're only doing it for the paycheck. You're not doing it because you care about what happens to Black America. You're not living the same reality that the majority of Black Americans are living in this economy. And now, I want to be very clear, the only reason they're saying it's reportedly is because despite being asked multiple times by many journalists as to whether or not this report was true, that they paid her $10 million for this endorsement, Kamala's team has gone completely mum and is refusing to answer. Now, in my opinion, there would be no reason to refuse to answer this if this was just a pesky rumor. You'd come right out and you'd say, absolutely not. Beyonce genuinely just loved Kamala so much. Why can't you guys believe that this is what she truly believes in for the future? We would pay her no such thing. We're not able yet to weigh it against an FEC report because that FEC report is still due. So my instinct here is that there has to be some truth to these reports that are coming out. Of course, Megan Thee Stallion and all of her dancers are not going to just agree to work for free for Kamala Harris. I think all of these people are essentially seeing this as an opportunity to make money while Democrats are pouring money into the coffers of a Democratic Party. They're just going, well, we don't actually have to earn their vote. We're just going to find a person that they like, a person that they call queen, like Beyonce, or a person that they call king, like LeBron James, and encourage them to speak out on behalf of us. It really puts into new focus what Black culture is, because that's what people always accuse me of, like not being a part of Black culture. What is being for Black culture? Is it that? Is it voting in margins of 97% for stupid, for people to lie on you, for people to lie to you and get caught over and over and over again. I mean, take, for example, this. Obviously, notoriously, Cardi B also came out and gave this endorsement more like she read off of a teleprompter and the teleprompter broke. And then somebody handed her a phone so she could read the notes. Whatever you want to say about her, she came out, she spoke. And according to her, I asked her on Twitter earlier today, were you paid for this as well? She says, no, she wasn't paid for this. And I actually believe that. I believe that Cardi B came out authentically and supported the Democratic Party, which leads me to ask the question, why? Because let's not forget, okay, when Joe Biden barely ran, just like Kamala Harris, because he hid during COVID and said, oh, I can't come out and do any interviews, but I am going to come out and make time for Cardi B to ask me the hard-hitting questions. Do you guys remember what he told her he was going to do as president? No, you have to remember, Kamala Harris is his VP. So she is hearing his answers for what will happen if she moves Black women to vote for him. This is Cardi B interviewing Joe Biden in 2020.
I, of course, want free Medicare. And this is why it's important to have free Medicare, because look what's happening right now. You see why we should have been have free Medicare for a long time. I, of course, think that we need free college education.
We're going to have, if I get elected president, free college education for 4 years of college, flat out. Anybody with a family less than 125 grand, you're going to get a free education. Everybody gets free education for community college.
Listen, Cardi, if you go and tell Black people who I just think are stupid but like your music, whatever, what is it you sing? Bodak, yellow, Bodak, whatever it is. You go out there, find Black people that like your music, tell them to vote, and tell them they're going to get free stuff. That's all you Black people like, right? Free stuff? Yeah, cool. You're going to get free downloads on Apple. You're going to get free college. You're going to get free Medicaid. Free. She nods along and she endorses him, and maybe she believed it in 2020. So how do you justify her being able to look back on the interview that she gave to receive lies from the campaign of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and then to get right back up on stage and to say, and I quote, she said this when she endorsed Kamala, I believe every word that comes out of her mouth, Cardi B said. I believe every word that comes out of Kamala Harris's mouth. Kamala Harris, a person who can't even tell the truth about who her freaking grandma is in her book, Cardi B believes every single word. So what is the true reason that these campaigns go out and they reach out to her again? Because they view her to be a useful idiot. That's the reality. And even greater useful idiot if she's willing to do it for free. I mean, she's saying I did it for free, and she's saying that as, hey, I'm not a fraud, I actually did this. That's even more embarrassing. At least Beyoncé knew if I'm going to go ahead and do this, she was smart enough as a businesswoman to know that I'm going to get paid. I'm going to get $10 million if I have to come out here. I'm not going to, I'm not going to act like a monkey in your circus. You're going to have to pay me $10 million. And she got it, allegedly, for $55,000 a second. I just feel like it's really time for Black Americans to wake up to this nonsense. I'm so sick of it. I mean, Malcolm X was exactly right when he said that the media is the most powerful entity on earth. It will quite literally have you hating the people that you should be supporting and supporting the people that you should be hating. And there's no greater proof of that than when you look at the metrics of how Black women are voting in this country. When you look at the embarrassment of the fact that they do the exact same thing every 4 years. They don't even try to switch it up. They're even getting the same people after they lied to their faces. They lied to your face, Cardi. Do you not have just a modicum of self-respect to say, hey, you lied to my face 4 years ago, and so no, I'm not going to jump on stage and support you again? Is the answer to that really no? So, I really do want to say that I am just so upset when I see Black Americans still falling for this same game, seeing women falling for this same game in particular. And then you look at Kamala campaign's spending report, and it just looks completely fraudulent. She allegedly spent $100 million on marketing firms. Okay. She spent $15 million on event production, $4 million on private jets, which is incredible. 107 days of campaigning, $4 million on private jets to go where? To go where? All of it to me is just the most ridiculous. When I just see it, it's such an insult. It is such an insult to their voters, and yet many of their voters still can't see it. Maybe in the future they will. Obviously, we're starting to see that Black men are breaking away from this, but Black women still seem to be in this stranglehold culture seems to have them. And they really do believe that they're so intellectual, and racism is around every single corner, and the frauds and the sellouts are people like me. When you're quite literally spending your money to go see in concert every single one of these frauds and sellouts. In fact, you have been so trained that you call these sellouts kings and queens. That's embarrassing. Honestly, change something about yourself. Stop calling these people kings and queens. Have some basic self-respect. Genuinely, that is all that I want to say on that topic. Should also add to the fact that even the NAACP received $500,000. It's $500,000 donation is what Al Sharpton received. So yeah, the NAACP has our back. I'm with her. Oh, Beyonce, I love her. All of them are frauds. All of them are sellouts. And those people are the true grifters. Now, obviously, I'm about to lose my life, so let me at least support a company and an organization that cares about life. In return, you guys know that I love 7 Weeks Coffee. This episode is sponsored by 7 Weeks Coffee. Why are they called 7 Weeks? Because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across the country. They have raised over $500,000 for these centers and have saved over 5,000 lives. Now, let me tell you about the coffee, because I'm very picky about what I put into my body. It's mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, and low acid, and it's organically farmed. It truly checks all the boxes. And just in time for the holiday season, 7 Weeks Coffee is having their biggest promotion of the year. You can enjoy exclusive discounts, free gifts with every order, and new limited edition coffees. So whether you're looking for stocking stuffers or the perfect roast, 7 Weeks Coffee has you covered this Christmas season. Exclusively for my listeners, go to 7weekscoffee.com and use code Candace for up to 25% off your order. Remember that your order will directly help support a network of over 900 pro-life organizations across the U.S. Okay, let me tell you how I really feel. There's still so many things I want to talk about, especially Rachel Zegler. But before I get to her, I want to talk about Matt Gaetz, because, yeah, that nomination has them in a full panic, okay? So in case you don't follow the intricacies of the cabinet nominations, these are the positions, basically the 15 or 16, I think it's 16 now, cabinet positions, and they have to be, the majority of them, confirmed by the Senate, okay? So the media has had an emotional breakdown regarding Matt Gaetz being nominated as the U.S. attorney. Take a listen to how Jake Tapper opened his show last night.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and let me begin the show by uttering some words that I never contemplated using together before, and those words are U.S. Attorney General Matt Gaetz.
And he's not the only one. Here is a clip of John Bolton echoing the same sentiment.
Oh, I thought it was the worst cabinet-level appointment in history until they then heard about the Matt Gaetz appointment. Really, my reaction was that this is like the legend of Caligula, the Roman emperor, who wanted to nominate his horse as a Roman consul. You had to be a Roman senator at the time to be a consul, and it was intended to show how demeaned and degraded the Roman Senate had become. So now we're going to see whether the American Senate can stand up and reject two people who are totally unqualified, unfit professionally, and really lacking in the moral characteristics, the character that you need to hold these jobs. I think this vote should be 100-0 against both of them.
Okay, so fair to say that there has not been a single nomination that has caused this much panic across the mainstream media. And I want to make sure that you guys understand why, what happened in the last couple of years with Matt Gaetz. So when the adults got back in charge, when Biden was formally inaugurated at the beginning of 2021, his Department of Justice got right to work looking to criminally prosecute not just Trump, but also Trump allies. I mean, truly, when we say the Department of Justice, it's unbelievable what they did following January 6th, going after every single person that thought the election was stolen, looking to use federal law to prosecute these people, sometimes just for speech. Well, Matt Gaetz, you could argue, is the staunchest of Trump allies, especially all through all of January 6th, using his platform as a congressman from Florida to basically call out the injustices that were happening. And in March of 2021, it was then announced that he was being federally investigated for, guess, sex trafficking. I feel like that's kind of like a Fed favorite. They're like, sex trafficking, you have been trafficking people. So they alleged that Matt Gaetz began a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl and had transported her across state lines, which would have made it a federal crime. Again, Fed favorite, because apparently the feds kind of created this crime when they wanted to go after boxer Jack Johnson, which many years ago, I think in 1912, they prosecuted him for transporting a woman across state lines. Anyways, back to Matt Gaetz, it gets even crazier. So not only did Matt Gaetz say, I am being set up from the Department of Justice, but he also said in response that his family was being extorted by the Department of Justice. In order to make it go away, he alleged that somebody came to his father and said, if you want this to go away, you have to pay us $25 million. So I'm going to put that on rewind for you so you can hear what he told Tucker Carlson at the time. Tucker Carlson was on Fox News regarding this alleged extortion plot. Take a listen.
This is obviously a serious allegation. Tell us what the truth is from your perspective.
It is a horrible allegation, and it is a lie. The New York Times is running a story that I have traveled with a 17-year-old woman, and that is verifiably false. People can look at my travel records and see that that is not the case. What is happening is an extortion of me and my family involving a former Department of Justice official. On March 16th, my father got a text message demanding a meeting wherein a person demanded $25 million in exchange for making horrible sex trafficking allegations against me go away. Our family was so troubled by that, we went to the local FBI. And the FBI and the Department of Justice were so concerned about this attempted extortion of a member of Congress that they asked my dad to wear a wire, which he did with the former Department of Justice official. Tonight, I am demanding that the Department of Justice and the FBI release the audio recordings that were made under their supervision and at their direction, which will prove my innocence and that will show that these allegations aren't true. They're merely intended to try to bleed my family out of money. And this former Department of Justice official tomorrow was supposed to be contacted by my father so that specific instructions could be given regarding the wiring of $4.5 million as a down payment on this bribe. I don't think it's a coincidence that tonight, somehow, the New York Times is leaking this information, smearing me, and ruining the investigation that would likely result in one of the former colleagues of the current DOJ being brought to justice for trying to extort me and my family.
So a couple of obvious questions that come to mind, and again, just to restate, this just happened, don't have any other information beyond what we've already said and you have said. First of all, who is this Department of Justice former employee who's trying to extort the money from you, you say?
His name is David McGee. He was a top official in the leadership in the Northern District of Florida as a prosecutor. He currently works at the Beggs and Lane law firm. As a matter of fact, one of the recordings that was made at the FBI and Department of Justice request occurred at that law firm, and the money that was supposed to be paid today that would have shown even more evidence of David McGee's work in this extortion scheme, that was foiled by the New York Times story, and I believe that's why this horrible information and these terrible allegations have been used this evening.
So Tucker looks incredulous. Following this interview with Tucker, the media went to town, calling him a conspiracy theorist, calling him crazy for even speaking out while federal prosecutors were investigating him. Like, who does this guy think he is? You're supposed to just stay mum and shut up when you're being investigated for sex trafficking. You're not supposed to use your platform to allege that the DOJ, a former DOJ employee, is somehow trying to extort you. They tried to paint Matt Gaetz like a complete crazy person. And you can imagine, remember, the adults are back in charge, right? That this was getting all of the coverage. This Trump ally, he's out here, he's doing this with a 17-year-old girl. And he fought through this. And it sounded like a conspiracy, right? To say that the Department of Justice is using former employees and liaising to try to siphon $25 million from your dad. But Matt Gaetz alleged that the local FBI instructed his dad to wear a wire to record the conversation with the person that was trying to extort them. And guess what? It turned out that Matt Gaetz was telling the truth. In August of 2022, so a little over a year and a half later, Stephen Alford was sentenced to 5 years in prison for a scheme to extort $25 million from the Gaetz family. So you can just imagine the Department of Justice's surprise. Oh my gosh, you're going to nominate now? He's in charge of the Department of Justice? You're going to make him the U.S. Attorney General? I love it. I love it, okay? He absolutely must be confirmed. And they're freaking out, and they're being honest about why they're freaking out. They're like, well, then he's going to have access to the files of when we were investigating him. And like, by the way, we didn't find anything, so it's not a big deal. But we don't want to, this is an insane pick. Why on earth would they allow him in? Yeah, because you realize that he is someone who you are not going to be able to flip into one of your allies because you attempted to ruin his life and to ruin his reputation. And these are exactly the kinds of picks that we mean. I need someone who has a chip on their shoulder about the DOJ, who understands truly and intimately how corrupt they are, to even involve outside law firms enriching themselves. I mean, that sort of a scheme is positively ridiculous, and it actually happened. So, Matt Gaetz, we certainly hope that you are confirmed. And just to briefly show you guys this before we move on from the story, this is who we have so far in the cabinet that has been announced. We have the chief of staff as Susie Wiles. The ambassador to the UN is going to be Elise Stefanik. The Homeland Security Secretary is going to be Kristi Noem. The CIA director, he is named John Ratcliffe. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. That one totally surprised me, but I have to say, I've known him over the years. He's a solid guy. I mean, truly a good person. So I think that actually is quite promising. And the fact that he has served his country leads me to believe that he is not going to abuse that by sending our military out to fight foreign wars and to risk their lives at no benefit to themselves or their families. For the EPA, we have Lee Zeldin. And for the director of national intelligence, that's who John Bolton was saying at first was equally as awful as a pick. We have Tulsi Gabbard, and I like that because she is also someone that has been attacked by the DOJ. You remember when Hillary was really trying to ruin her reputation, and they used that sort of Russian conspiracy of 2016 to say that Tulsi Gabbard was working with Russia. So she's got a chip on her shoulder, and it's one that I like and one that I respect. So I'm okay with that. Secretary of State, obviously, listen, I'm willing to be proven wrong. I'm willing to see what Marco Rubio does, but he is known to be a neocon, so people have not been excited about that appointment. And then our guy, we got to get this guy. We got to get him in there. We got to get him in there to access the files to see how they're going after people. And that is Matt Gaetz for U.S. Attorney General. And huge news, guys, just before we started here. Yes, the Secretary of Health and Human Services is going to be RFK Jr. I am just elated about that appointment. You know, you guys know that I'm anti-vax. Backstory to that is I was vax injured when I was about 20 years old. And then I did my own research on just that one vaccine, Gardasil, realized it was all a lie. Everything that they told us, the commercials, all this fear mongering. But then when I wanted to learn about the other vaccines, there was no information. There was no information anywhere because they all just say vaccines are great. Until I found Children's Health Defense, which is RFK Jr.'s not-for-profit. And the website that they have really is where I did all of my homework and got to educate myself and make the decision not to vax my children. And so he has done wonderful work. Look, we have our disagreements, but in that position, he has my support 100%, and they absolutely better confirm him. There's absolutely no reason not to confirm him. And I don't know, guys. It's going to get crazy. The stuff that Trump is saying he's going to do, now he's got some people in there that can do some damage. RFK can just break up the cartel, the big pharma cartel, telling kids they can't go to school unless they roll up their sleeves and get 76 vaccines in their arms. I mean, get excited, people. I'm telling you, it's not a perfect cabinet, but it's a damn good one, okay? It's enough to do some damage. All right, before I talk to you about woke Snow White, you are not going to believe what this woman publicized. I am first going to remind you about American financing because the Fed has dropped interest rates, so you need to call my friends in American financing now. It's the perfect time to consolidate debt, reduce your monthly expenses. A lot of us have been forced to use credit cards because of the ridiculous prices at the grocery store, power, and even childcare. It's all so expensive now. The debt can really get expensive with credit card rates being so high, but with mortgage rates dropping, now is the time to wipe that debt out. American Financing is helping homeowners just like you save over $800 a month on average. They're even closing some in as fast as 10 days. If you start today, you may delay 2 mortgage payments. There are no upfront fees. To find out how much you can save, call American Financing today at 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210. Or you can just visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. Okay, Rachel Zegler. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. Every time I say her name, I want to say Rachel Zellweger, but she is Rachel Zegler. We're showing you her here on the screen. She is an up-and-coming actress. Maybe she's more established than I know. I don't follow Hollywood. But it's important to speak about her because Disney picked her to be a princess, right? They're doing all these remakes, and they decided they were going to remake Snow White, and they cast Gal Gadot as the Wicked Witch, and they cast Rachel Zegler as Snow White, and it's been interesting casting because this woman is extraordinarily woke, as everyone is in Hollywood, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged. Like, you get cast for Snow White, and of course, if you are a business like Disney, you are leaning into what the movie Snow White meant to the people that were raised on it. People like me who watched Disney princess movies when the world was okay and it was acceptable for us to dream about being a princess as a woman and meeting a handsome prince. But oh no, these big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to do that. So anyways, they have been making this film for a very long time because it's just been so scandalized. It's been, and so they had to basically put it on ice after people were firstly outraged by Rachel Zegler speaking ill about the prior film, the film that she was remaking. Take a listen to her talk about the modern twist that they were going to give Snow White.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign. I am.
Am I the only one that wishes it was 1937? Because I'm just so sick of this. And it's such a weird thing for their whole pitch as feminists to be is like the best thing you can strive to be is a man. Like, I feel like feminists are actually the patriarchy. Like, they're just like, we just gotta be like men. Everything will be great once we just act exactly like men. There's nothing special about being a woman. Let's just be men. It just doesn't feel like we're winning. Anyways, so then they got even crazier and they decided that the dwarves in Snow White weren't woke enough, okay? And they decided to cast 7 non-dwarves. They released this picture behind the scene. So obviously you see they've got one dwarf, and then there's black people, and there's 3 black people and maybe a redhead back there. Even crazier, like they were just like, it's too... to make it more progressive, the dwarves have to change. And I actually thought, like, dwarves, I do feel like that's acceptable to just actually cast 7 dwarves. I don't feel like the dwarves are being cast in so many parts that would not be deemed woke enough, but apparently it was. And not even that, the dwarves all had issues. They were sleepy. He's like a narcoleptic, dopey. He obviously was in the throes of the opioid crisis. I mean, I felt like that was DEI enough as it was in the original film, but no, people started mocking them. Disney said, okay, we got to go back. We got to go back and undo things. We can't release this movie or it's going to be a massive loss. We can't. So they went back to the drawing board and decided, okay, we're actually going to release this movie and film in 2025, kicked the can down the road for 2 years. And now they're in another scandal because Trump won. And Rachel Zegler has decided to post this on her Instagram. She posted, I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred leading us towards a world I do not want to live in. Leading us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in. Leading us towards a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want. Leading us towards a world that is fearful. Like, why is your daughter getting pregnant without wanting a child? It's just, I don't understand why this is the predicament that every Democrat woman is in. That their daughter is just going to get pregnant and not want the baby. Like, why is this the thing? I don't know. Let me keep reading. I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. I am heartbroken for my friends who awoke in fear this morning. I am here with you to cry, to yell, to hug, to wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. This loss should not have been, and it certainly should not have been by so many votes. I echo Ethel Kane's statement more than anything. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. Okay. Totally stable. And that's not all she wrote. She also wrote this onto Instagram. Okay, that's all. Going on stage for Act 2 now and need to get off my soapbox before I get too heated. Sending love to everyone who needs it today. May we all carry each other through the worst and hold these politicians accountable. Your Dem govs just got very important. They already were. But hey, follow your governors, hold them accountable. Local government is where we will make real change. This is not the end ever. I will love you through these 4 years as best I can. F Donald Trump. Yeah, totally stable thing for her to be posting, wishing harm upon Trump voters, wishing that we have no peace. And I actually thought she wrote the exact statement, Skylar, that she wanted us to have, like she wished explicit harm. Was there a third Instagram post there that maybe got... Okay, let's pull this one up as well. There is no hope, no counsel in any of them. I could go on. I won't feel sad. You probably do too. F this. And then a fourth post about about Trump supporters as well. And so here's the thing. When it comes to politics and being in the public sphere, I actually think people have a right to go out there and say what they believe to be true. I don't have an issue with her being a supporter of Kamala. That's fine. Use your soapbox and talk about why you think Kamala's great, because you're worried that your child is going to get pregnant and she better absolutely have the right to kill her offspring. That's what you believe in. That's fine. Say that. I actually think it's a good thing that both her and Gal Gadot are in the same movie. Gal Gadot is radically pro-Israel because she served in the IDF, and Rachel Zegler is radically pro-Palestine. Fine, that's great. Everyone's entitled to their political opinions, but you are not entitled to call for Trump supporters to be harmed. Like, you are actually not entitled to do that. And so let me just remind you, Rachel Zegler, of what the map looks like, just so you can understand when your Disney movie is coming out, how many people you are wishing harm upon. Like, this is America right now, okay? So if you are going to just be appealing to the people that you see represented by blue on this map to come watch your Disney princess film, then so be it. But I have to say, you have to be the worst endorsement that Disney has ever made, because you just can't close your mouth. You just can't be sane, even when you do open your mouth. I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film, but rather she deserves to be in a padded cell. I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. And it's this rat race to constantly be seen and to constantly say things that are like just atrocious, because they're looking for attention and they can never have enough of it. They can never have enough of it. So I hope it cost her job. I'm sure that Disney must have some clause in there that she's not allowed to go out and just eliminate her entire audience by being a psychopath and by calling for harm and no peace for Trump supporters. I really do hope she gets dropped from the film. I think in the end, they'll make more money if they drop her and replace her with someone else, and they will do if they go through with this. And if you are somebody who voted for Trump, or you're just someone who generally has good morals and principles, I would highly advise that you boycott this film. No matter how much your children love Snow White, no matter how much you love a Disney remake, this is not the film for you. All right, guys, I want to remind you about PureTalk, because it's important to think about what charities and causes and brands that you give your money to support, which is why I love supporting my cell phone company, PureTalk. As a veteran-led company, supporting veterans is their passion project, and that's why PureTalk has alleviated $10 million in veteran debt. That's why they donate tens of thousands of dollars every month to help prevent veteran suicide, and that's why they just donated $50,000 to Mike Rowe Works, providing scholarships to veterans learning the trades after active duty. It's time to jump ship from Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. There's a better option. PureTalk gives you the same great coverage, America's most dependable 5G network, for half the cost, and you'll be helping our vets. It really is a win-win. So go to puretalk.com puretalk.com/Owens today and switch to a company that invests in American jobs to better serve you. Again, go to puretalk.com/Owens and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. All right, you guys, where am I at? Am I like on a total rant and have to go to comments? I did want to mention this Nicole Scherzinger thing because it's been driving me crazy that she had to issue an apology for liking a hat that Russell Brand shared on his Instagram. But it looks like I'm coming against time, so I'm instead going to jump to your comments and see what you guys have to say for me, and I'll bump Nicole Scherzinger to tomorrow. I really do believe, by the way, that we should never be apologizing for saying Christ is King, as you may have found out this year. Okay, first up, we have someone that says, Candace, how did you become such a great speaker? This is Scad Cooey, writes, how did you become such a great speaker and be able to express your thoughts so clearly? I aspire to be like you. I struggle a bit with the stutter, and English is my second language. Love you. Here's what I always tell people. Lean into whatever's natural for you. I would say that for me, I have always liked public speaking. I've never been shy. I've always loved communication, words, books from a time that I was very little. My sister, it was exact opposite. Absolutely can't stand communication, loves numbers, loves accounting. And I think that one of the problems with the education system is it tries to insist that everybody needs to be an expert at everything. It's good to know everything, but it isn't good to keep trying to force something that doesn't come naturally to you. And so I didn't take a class. I genuinely, from the time that I was little, I loved communication and I loved words and I fell in love with it. But I would say that reading really helps. Reading books definitely helps. And I fell in love with books at a very young age and was reading books that were bigger than my head when I was 6 and 7 years old. I was always reading whatever my mother was reading, even if it was like cheesy books that she got, like Nora Roberts books that she got from CVS. I would be reading them when I was 6 or 7 years old. So that would be my answer for you. Swole Monkey writes, I remember when Disney fired Gina Carano for simply stating a historical fact. How does Rachel still have a job? That is so true. Gina Carano got fired because they found out she was conservative. She wished harm on absolutely no one. And yet Rachel, they just keep sticking with. And I'm not sure what the reason is. I think probably because they didn't want to lose out on their investment, but I don't see how they can keep her anymore. You know, I don't see how they can say they're the good guys and that they care about peace and love stories and they're Disney while you keep someone on the payroll who speaks in the manner that she does about not half the country, the overwhelming majority of the country thinks this way. She's speaking about the overwhelming majority of the country simply because they don't believe in murdering your offspring as a top issue to vote on. Completely out of touch celebrity. They're a dime a dozen. 123B writes, God bless you, Candace. Well done as usual. Viva Cristo Rey and Ave Maria. Thank you so much. Tacitum writes, they should have just made a new movie. The story is completely different, so why keep the title at all? Just make a different movie. I agree. When you get to the point where you're like, we're going to remake the movie, and by remake, I mean it's going to have nothing to do with the original movie, and in fact, we're making it because we hate the original movie. We hate everything about the original movie, so we're going to make a new movie, and we're going to tell the first movie what's wrong with it. Everything is wrong with it. It's such an insult, I think, even to the legacy of Walt Disney. Like, why? Why do this? Who is running? I guess maybe it's Abigail Disney. She's a total whack job. Total wackadoodle. Disney's offspring, it was granddaughter, whatever, really not right in the head like most people are nowadays, especially when they're left-leaning. Zia writes, have you completed your Shot in the Dark series on locals? I was able to see a couple of them and was wondering why I didn't see more. Yes, so we did have some issues getting the files, just compatibility issues. We got them and now we, as promised, dropped the first 2 episodes for free on locals. Now that we're so close to year end, we just think that we're going to put the entire series up in January when I was telling you that we're building our platform in the background, which will eventually just be CandaceOwens.com. And I feel like it's easier and it's cleaner. I don't love like the technology of locals. The user experience is not really great, and we just put so much work into the Shot in the Dark series that I want it to really live somewhere where people can get the quality that I think that it deserves. And look, the timing will be perfect. By the time we get that website up, confirmation processes will start. Trump will have been inaugurated, so you just have to hang on for a few more weeks. I promise it's not going to be that long. We'll blink and it'll be there. But I know that more and more women are going to search for that series. And like I said, we even then did birth control. And if you thought that the history of vaccines was dark and everything was a lie, birth control will make you understand. I can't even, there's not even a word for how evil Big Pharma is. Exactly what it sounds like, birth control. All of the stuff that's right there, how they got away with things, the FDA should just be abolished. That is really just a pay-to-play scheme. Truly, it's unbelievable what they allowed. If this has FDA clearance, I tweeted the other day that I'm now at the stage of Crunchy that when something is not FDA approved, I trust it more. Like I trust a product more when I go to the farmer's market and they're like, yeah, here's this and that, not FDA approved. I'm like, give it to me. Give it to me. The FDA is a problem. The CDC is a problem. It's all about making money, and they will lie to parents. They will harm your children. I truly do believe that. And again, great day. RFK Jr. is now going to be our health secretary. All right, you guys, reminding if you want to support the show, you can head to locals.com and support in whatever capacity you'd like to. You can also head to clubcandace.com and you can get yourself some gear. We're going to be launching our Christmas store really soon. You're going to absolutely love the Christmas store. It is great. Beyond that, as always, we are so grateful for you guys. We have really just enjoyed the freedom of this year, the first 5 months of the show, and we will see you guys tomorrow.